There is a place on Earth where you can move, live, and start a business without ever applying for a visa, no matter what passport you hold. It isn't a tax haven or a loophole. It's a frozen Arctic archipelago, roughly 800 kilometers from the North Pole, and the reason anyone can live there comes from a 1920 treaty that tried to solve one problem and accidentally created one of the strangest legal zones on the planet. For centuries, Svalbard belonged to no one. Whalers, trappers, and later coal miners from multiple nations, Norway, Russia, Britain, the Netherlands, worked the islands without any government claiming sovereignty over them. By the early 1900s, that free-for-all was becoming a problem. Overlapping mining claims, no clear law, no clear court to settle disputes. After the First World War, the victorious powers sat down to fix it. The result, signed in Paris in February 1920, was the Svalbard Treaty, originally called the Spitsbergen Treaty. It gave Norway full sovereignty over the islands, but attached two conditions that make Svalbard unlike anywhere else Norway governs. First, every citizen of a signatory country gets equal rights to live and work there and to conduct commercial activity, mining, fishing, business, without needing a Norwegian visa or work permit. Second, the islands must stay demilitarized. No naval bases, no fortifications, no use of the territory for warlike purposes. Norway got the sovereignty everyone had been fighting to establish. Everyone else got a guarantee they'd never be locked out. In practice, that means Longyearbyen, Svalbard's main settlement, is one of the only places on Earth where residency has nothing to do with your nationality. There's no automatic right to Norwegian welfare benefits, no long-term unemployment support, and, until recently, no minimum income requirement, which meant people from dozens of countries have moved there simply because nothing stopped them. It's cold, dark for months at a time, and expensive. But for decades it was one of the few visa-free frontiers left on Earth. The treaty's equal access clause is also why a Soviet and later Russian mining community has operated on Svalbard continuously since the 1930s. The settlement of Barentsburg is still home to Russian and Ukrainian coal miners today, run by the Russian state-owned company Trust Arktikugol, a legal, treaty-protected foothold for Russia inside Norwegian territory. That same treaty is now at the center of a live, ongoing disagreement between Norway and Russia. And this is where the facts get careful, because both governments have a stated position. And this isn't a case of one side simply being wrong. In 1977, Norway declared a 200 nautical mile fisheries protection zone around Svalbard, based on its reading of international maritime law. Russia has never formally recognized that zone. It argues the 1920 treaty's equal access principle should extend to the surrounding waters too, not just the land, and it instructs its fishing vessels not to sign Norwegian inspection paperwork, even while largely complying with the inspections themselves. Neither side has taken this to a court that could settle it definitively, and both continue to operate as if their own reading is correct. Tension has been visible on the ground too. Russia has held military-style Victory Day parades in Barentsburg in recent years, and in 2025, Russian forces reportedly simulated an amphibious approach towards Svalbard during the Zapad military exercises, drawing formal Norwegian objections given the treaty's demilitarization clause. In 2025, Norway also added major Russian fishing companies to its sanctions list, and Russia responded by threatening to end a separate bilateral fisheries agreement. Svalbard is still, on paper, one of the most open places on Earth, a 100-year-old treaty that lets almost anyone move there without a visa. But the same document that opened the door that wide is now the exact text both Norway and Russia point to when they disagree about what happens in the waters around it. A treaty written to end one argument has spent the last few years starting another. If you like the strange places borders end up, subscribe. There's a new one every week.